countdown to midnight was the last thing on my mind. I had come to the party out of obligation. My best friend, Derek, had begged me for weeks. "It's New Year's Eve. You can't just sit at home alone again." His words had been a constant refrain, a nagging reminder that I was, in his eyes, wasting my youth. So I went, wearing a shirt that was a little too tight, because Derek had insisted it looked good on me, and a smile that was a little too forced, because pretending to enjoy myself was easier than explaining why I didn't. I had fully prepared to leave by 11, and then I saw him, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark curls that fell just slightly over his forehead. He looked like he had stepped out of some romantic film. His laugh cut through the noise of the party like a warm blade, effortless and inviting. He was leaning against the kitchen counter, swirling a glass of something amber, completely at ease in a room full of strangers. Our eyes met. A flicker of recognition, or maybe just curiosity, passed between us. He raised his drink in a silent toast. I should have looked away. I didn't. His name was Cole. I learned this when he slid into the space beside me at the snack table, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something woodsy and expensive, the kind of scent that lingered in the air long after the person had gone. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," he said, popping a grape into his mouth. I shrugged, trying to ignore the way his throat moved when he swallowed. "Parties aren't really my thing." Cole smirked. "Then why are you here?" I nodded toward Derek, who was currently attempting a keg stand in the living room, much to the delight of the cheering crowd. "Friend guilt." He laughed, low and rough, and something in my chest tightened. "I'll drink to that." Our glasses clinked, and just like that I was hooked. The thing about Cole was that he knew. He knew the way his fingers lingered on my wrist when he handed me another drink sent shivers down my spine. He knew the way his knee brushed mine under the table wasn't an accident. He knew exactly what he was doing when he leaned in, his breath warm against my ear, and murmured, "Want to get out of here?" I should have said no, but the clock was ticking closer to midnight, and his eyes were dark with promise, and before I could think better of it, I was following him down the hallway, past the line for the bathroom, into a bedroom that wasn't his. The door clicked shut behind us. Cole backed me against it, his hands framing my face. "Tell me to stop." I didn't. The first kiss was electric. His lips were warm, slightly rough from the cold outside, but the moment they met mine, everything else faded. The music, the laughter, the distant countdown beginning in the living room. The second kiss was a revelation. His hands slid down my sides, fingers pressing into my hips as if memorizing the shape of me. I gasped against his mouth, and he took the opportunity to deepen the kiss, his tongue sliding against mine in a way that made my knees weak. By the third kiss, I was fumbling with the buttons of his shirt, my fingers clumsy with want. He laughed against my mouth, pulling back just enough to yank the fabric over his head. And then, I had seen him in a fitted shirt. I had felt the strength in his arms when he pulled me close, but nothing could have prepared me for the reality of him. All-toned muscle and smooth skin, his chest rising and falling as he watched me take him in. "Like what you see?" he teased. I swallowed hard. "Yeah." His grin turned wicked. "Good." Then his hands were on my waist, flipping us, pressing me down onto the bed. Midnight came and went with no fanfare. No countdown. No champagne toast. Just Cole above me, his mouth hot on my neck, his hands everywhere at once. And then, his fingers tangled in my hair, gently guiding me lower. Our eyes locked. A question. An answer. I didn't hesitate. The thing about New Year's resolutions is that they're meant to be broken. Mine had been don't fall for strangers at parties. But as the first light of the new year filtered through the blinds, painting Cole's sleeping form in gold, I realized, some rules are worth breaking. He stirred when I shifted, his arm tightening around my waist. "Morning," he mumbled, his voice rough with sleep. I turned to face him, tracing the line of his jaw with my fingertips. Happy New Year. Cole caught my hand, pressing a kiss to my palm. Best one yet. And as he pulled me back in, I couldn't help but agree. The morning after the party found me tangled in sheets that smelled like him. Like cedar and salt and something intoxicatingly masculine. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, painting stripes across Cole's bare back as he reached for his phone on the nightstand. I traced the curve of his spine with my fingertips, memorizing the way his muscles tensed under my touch. Sleep okay? He asked, voice still rough from sleep. I hummed in response, too aware of the way his body had fit against mine in the dark, how his hands had learned me by touch alone. Cole turned, catching my wrist and pressing a kiss to my pulse point. Hungry? For you? Always. But I just nodded, letting him pull me from bed with promises of coffee and breakfast. His kitchen was small but bright, sunlight bouncing off stainless steel as he moved with an easy confidence. I leaned against the counter, watching the way his shoulders flexed as he reached for mugs, the way his sweatpants hung low on his hips. You're staring, he said without turning around. Just admiring the view. Cole laughed, handing me a steaming cup. Careful. Flattery will get you everywhere. I took a sip, letting the warmth spread through me. Is that a promise? His eyes darkened, and suddenly the air between us crackled with the same energy as the night before. He stepped closer, caging me against the counter, his breath hot against my ear. Tell me what you want. It wasn't a question. It was a challenge. The mug hit the counter with a thud as I turned in his arms, my hands finding purchase on his waist. Show me the bedroom again, I murmured against his lips. Cole didn't need to be told twice. Later, much later, when the sun was high in the sky and our coffee had gone cold, we lay sprawled across his sheets, breathless and sated. Cole traced idle patterns on my bare shoulder. So, he said, voice laced with amusement, still hate parties? I turned my head to look at him, taking in the satisfied curve of his smile, the way his dark curls stuck to his forehead. They're growing on me. He laughed, low and rich, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. And as his lips found mine again, I made a mental note to thank Derek for the invitation. The thing about New Year's resolutions? Mine had been don't fall for strangers at parties. But as Cole's fingers laced through mine under the breakfast table, as his laughter filled the small space between us, I realized some rules were made to be broken, and some strangers, they weren't strangers at all. Not anymore. The plan had been simple. A one-night encounter, a fleeting New Year's memory. But as the morning stretched into afternoon, neither of us made a move to leave. Cole's apartment was a reflection of him. Minimalist but warm, with books stacked haphazardly on shelves and a record player in the corner. I traced my fingers along the spines while he made us another round of coffee. You read all these? I asked, pulling out a worn copy of On the Road. Most. He handed me a fresh mug, his fingers brushing mine. You? Some. Not this one. He smirked. Stick around. I'll lend it to you. The implication hung between us, stick around. Longer than today. Longer than last night. I took a sip of coffee to hide my smile. Eventually, reality crept in. My phone buzzed. Derek. Dude, where the hell are you? I glanced at Cole, who was watching me with amused curiosity. My best friend, I explained, wondering if I'm alive. Tell him you're in good hands. I snorted but typed back, alive. We'll explain later. Derek's response was immediate. Oh, got it. Have fun, winky face. Cole leaned over my shoulder, reading the exchange. He's not wrong. I rolled my eyes, but my face burned. 3 days later, Cole texted, still hate parties? I replied, depends. Who's inviting? His answer came with an address, a quiet jazz bar downtown. Not a party. Better. When I arrived, he was already there, nursing a whiskey neat. He stood when he saw me, that same effortless confidence radiating off him. You came. You doubted me? Never. The night unfolded like something out of a dream. Low lighting, smooth music, his hand finding mine under the table. No pretense, no games. Just us. Weeks passed. We fell into a rhythm. Weekend mornings at his place, late night phone calls when we were apart, stolen kisses in dimly lit bars. One evening, as rain pattered against his windows, Cole traced idle circles on my bare chest and asked, "What was your resolution this year?" I hesitated. Not to fall for strangers at parties. He laughed, but then his expression softened. And now, I turned to face him, studying the way the lamplight caught the gold in his eyes. Now I'm thinking I should have aimed higher. His lips met mine, slow and sure. Good answer. The next New Year's Eve, we threw our own party. Derek clinked his glass against ours, grinning. Told you you'd thank me. Cole's arm tightened around my waist. Yeah, you're a genius. As the countdown began, Cole turned me toward him, his forehead resting against mine. No regrets. I smiled. Not a single one. And when the clock struck midnight, his kiss tasted like promises, and a future I never saw coming.